I gasp. Chowpoke is shaking. He is looking at me with such anguish that I know this vision must be true. When? I demand. He hangs his head back into his hands and starts his moaning up again. Of course, he won't answer me. How could he know that I know? I pounce on him, shove him on his back, and sit down hard on his chest. Before he can even react, I press my thumbs into his throat and shake him. When? I screech. When is the attack planned to happen? He looks shocked. He croaks out, today. His throat is squeezed under my thumbs. Morning. I jump up and run. I am crying, tripping over roots. I fall down hard, gash my hand open on a sharp rock, but I am up again, running despite the pain. I burst into our house. Mom is stoking the fire and the others are still sleeping. I am breathing too hard to speak. Mom sees my terror, the blood dripping from my hand. Virginia, she whispers. Warning, I say between gasps for air. Warning. Everyone, muskets, swords, cannons, stop them. I want to say kill them, but I remember what I felt from Chowpoke when I had my thumbs against his throat. Relief. They don't want to do this. They have been ordered to do it, and anyone who refuses will die the slow, tortured death of a traitor. My breath slows down and I am able to speak. Stop the natives. Don't let them come today. We must turn them around with our muskets and swords, send them back home. Stop the attack before it starts. Dad and Samuel are awake and have heard me. Samuel is already out the door. I will go directly to Captain Noose, he says. We will get the word out. Now remember, Samuel is the one who knows about Virginia's knowings. And he also knows that Virginia has been anxious about something happening in the colony. Someone or many people getting hurt. How do you know this, Dad demands. What? Mom interrupts him. There is no time, John. She can tell you later. Dad's putting on his boots. I will warn our neighbors, he says. He takes down his sword off the wall and gives it to Mom. Then he lights the fuse on his musket with a piece of kindling from the fire and carries his musket with him out the door. I want to go with Dad, Alice says. Me too, Catherine says. You two just sit here while I bandage your sister's hand. No, Mom, there's no time. What about Jamestown? The thought suddenly strikes me and I feel faint. What about Martin's 100? I have to go. I have to tell them. I start towards the door, but Mom grasps my arm. Virginia, your hand is bleeding, she says firmly. You cannot go. Take a quick think back real quick. Who is living in Martin's 100? Bermuda. He had just gone back to live with his parents on Martin's 100. So she's concerned about him. He was her childhood friend who was the glassmaker. The dizziness overtakes me and I begin to slump. Mom guides me into a chair. I sink down and rest my head in my good hand. When I close my eyes, I see the scene again of violence and murder. I see Bermuda, his hands raised above his head the way he used to when Vinzazzo beat him up. I open my eyes to stop it. Mom brings me a bowl of hot water and begins to bathe my gashed hand. You will have to trust God with Jamestown and Martin's 100 and all the rest of the colony, she says gently. Let Samuel and your father get the word out. She presses cobwebs onto my wound. The sticky silk helps to knit the jagged edges of skin together. Then she bandages it with clean rags. Blood quickly soaks through the rags. Mom is right. I would never be able to paddle a canoe against the current. I would pass out from blood loss before I even got close to the other settlements. I sit at the table as Mom dishes out porridge for the girls. She doesn't even expect me to eat. Through our window, I see Chowpoke trudging up the hill to our house. It is what he does every morning to join us for breakfast before starting work with Dad and Samuel. But today, it is like he has weights on his feet. He is still fulfilling his orders, I realize. I pick up Dad's sword and stand in the doorway brandishing it. Go, I shout at Chowpoke before he can get close. Go away from us or I will slit your throat. He is unarmed, just like all the Indians I saw in the vision. He carries no weapon. He will have to use our kitchen knife or Dad's sword to kill me and Mom and my sisters. Chowpoke stops and looks at me. He closes his eyes for a moment as though he is praying. Then he turns and walks off towards the forest. Mom is right. I will have to trust God with the other towns and plantations. I will stay home to protect my sisters and my mother. It's the end of chapter 44. On my next video, I'll do chapter 45. So just be thinking about how dramatic this event must be for Virginia. Not only did they allow Chowpoke into their family, practically as a brother, living in the barn, but they've developed relationships with the natives that's taken them many, many years. And I want you to think back, and we'll talk about it in the next video, think back to Blood on the River and think about the prophecies that Chief O gave us. And we're still awaiting that third prophecy. See y'all in the next video.